I'm going to go through the whole basics of setting up a web page here. I've got a completely blank folder. I always do a blank folder for a new website. I'm going to put a few things in here. I'm going to have some folders. Always do my folders first. Images, folder for my pictures. I'm also going to have a folder for my CSS files for the style sheets. And that'll do for now. I could put a JavaScript folder in here, but that's not needed for level 1. And then I'm going to create an index.html file. I always create a blank text document so I know that there's no other junk in there. Index.html. Yep. And while I'm about it, I'm just going to create a CSS file in here. So that's a new text document again, and in this case I'm going to call it stylesheet.css. So that didn't take long to get the beginnings going. Right, I'm going to right click open in Notepad++. So a brand new file to work with. Right from the very top I need to say what kind of doc type it is. And basically I'm just saying it's HTML5, doc type HTML. I need a tag to say that the page is all HTML, and I need a head. And the head, I'm going to indent, contains title, my web page is a good title, / title. That'll do for now. I'll add two more things in a moment, / head, and then a body, which isn't going to contain an awful lot to begin with, just one paragraph. Here's the page content, /p, close that paragraph. Also going to close that body tag. I need to close the HTML tag as well, and I should really have indented that. Doesn't make any difference to display, it just makes it easier to read what's on there. So if I save that and then have a look at this in the browser, you can just see there's not an awful lot to see. Here's the page content. Now I need to style this, which means that I need to go and say find some style on the style sheet. So I'm going to put in here link rel equals style sheet, means that the relationship of this file is it is a style sheet. Don't need to know that, it's just useful to know, I guess. We need to say what type of document it is. This line is always exactly the same anyway, so you can just copy and paste every time. Href is in the CSS folder and it's called stylesheet.css. Okay, so that's my style sheet linked. Save that. I will just hop into that style sheet, open it up in Dreamweaver. We might have to wait a moment because Dreamweaver is slow. Don't want to do that. Slow. There we are. Right, so I want to change the properties of the body. So I'm going to go in here and say body and background color is going to be a nice shade of blue, and close that off. Save that, and then I'm just checking that that links up correctly. I'm going back to my browser and refresh. Yep, so everything's linked up nicely. There's one last thing that I haven't done, I will do here. It won't make any difference to how the page is displayed, but it will make a difference when you come to validate your page. I need to say what kind of encoding we're using, and the encoding we're using is UTF-8. It's always the same, so just type it in, copy and paste from somewhere else, and it will work just fine. Save that. Right, now the next thing is I need to put some content in a layout that I'm happy with. Here's something I was just looking at. This is a fairly standard kind of wireframe layout where I've got a banner across the top, navigation, main content. It doesn't take up the full width of the page. I've got a margin on each side. So that means that I'm going to have some boxes. I'm going to have these boxes for banner, navigation, content, and then a box around the whole lot, which will keep them together and also give them the opportunity to do a margin. Those boxes are all divs. So I'm going to start, instead of having this paragraph here, I'm going to start putting some divs in place. So I'm going to have a div which will be for the banner. So paragraph banner here, and /div. So that's a box which says banner here in it, and I'm just going to cheat a little bit and just do some copy and paste, and banner here, navigation here, and content here. So I've got 3 boxes now just for those things, and if I just refresh the page, you can see them. There are boxes around those, you can't see them. I need to style them, like colors and also positions and so on, so I need to actually be able to refer to them in the CSS. In order to do that, I need to give each one a name or an ID. So ID equals banner is a good descriptive name, and this one ID equals nav is a good descriptive name as well, and this one ID equals main content is a fairly descriptive name. Save that, hop into the CSS, and so the banner, and I say it's an ID because I use the hash in front of it. Just for now I'm going to save the background color is greenish. That's all good, and I'll do the other one while I'm here as well. The navigation is going to be that color, and the what's the last one? Main content has to be spelled exactly the same capitalization as well. Is going to be that color. Beautiful, and save that. That's saved already. Refresh this. So I've got those 3 boxes around those. So I now need to specify some other stuff to do with these. I'm not going to change anything on here for the moment, but I'm going to specify, for example, some widths and heights and color and other stuff. So hopping back into here, the banner, I'm going to say is going to be my page. I'm going to say is that standard width of 960 pixels. You know, you can use others, plenty do, but 960 pixels is a normal kind of width. The navigation is going to be that bar at the side. If you remember, it looks like this. So the navigation needs to be a bit narrower. I'm going to say width is 200 pixels. You can always change it later. And down here, that needs to be, if that's going to be 200 pixels, then I'm going to make this 760 pixels, so it all adds up. I'm also going to set some heights on some of these things so it doesn't look too silly. I'm going to set the banner to be height 120 pixels, and I'm going to set the navigation and the main content, the kind of main block. So just for now I'm going to set height as, say, 600 pixels, so it looks like we've actually got a page going on 600 pixels. Save that, and let's have a look how that looks. Okay, that's fine. The banner is a nice width across the page. I'll just zoom out a bit so you can see that, but it's stacked them one on top of another. I now need to do that whole margin and sorting out things. So what I'm actually going to do is dive back into Notepad and put that wrapper box around the outside. If you remember this one here, there's a big box around the outside to contain everything. So right here, div ID equals wrapper is a good name. We also call it container, I don't mind, so long as it's descriptive. And that's going to contain all of this lot. So everything is nested inside this div here. Okay, so div ID equals wrapper. Save that. Go back to here, and I'm going to do some styling on the wrapper. Hash wrapper. I'm going to I don't need to set a background color because this isn't actually being displayed, it's just containing things. So I'm going to again set a width of 960 pixels because that's the width of my page, and I'm also going to set the margin. Now the margin is the bit on the outside, and if we say margin auto, then it kind of splits the difference, and it does a nice neat margin with everything in the middle. So if I save that, go back to here, we should see that It's moved it into the middle and everything's contained. Very last step that we need to do is we need to somehow make it so it doesn't just stack these boxes one on top of the other. We want it to kind of tile them in place, and the way we do that is we say float these instead of block them. So back into the CSS, it's the navigation, and we're going to say float left, and also the main content we're going to float left again. Right would work just the same. Yeah, that's fine. Saving that, and that's a basic layout all done in 10 minutes 30 seconds.